Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we discuss day-to-day problems people face in their lives. Let's start with the video. Joke is in quote because I don't know what to call it. Something my cousin said is dividing my family. My partner, 22 female, and I, 24 male, are getting married in 6 weeks. She's Eastern European and I'm from Spain, where we live. We're having a small wedding with less than 15 people invited. Just our families and one close friend. This is partially because of COVID, but mostly because we prefer it that way. Last week, I was spending time with my family and my cousin 25 male started to talk to me about the wedding. He says congratulations, but he says it with a smile on his face and it sounds like he's taken a whiz. I tell him thank you, but ask him what is so funny. He says to me literally, how much did she cost? Well, my jaw basically hit the floor. I asked him what he was talking about and he made it even worse. He said, I'm thinking of getting a Slavic girl myself. I was so shocked I couldn't find any words. I just started muttering I'm leaving over and over as I put on my shoes to leave. I don't remember any of the words he said to me after that. My family has made some distasteful jokes about my inter-ethnic relationship before, but never jokes about sex trafficking before. When he said that, it made me furious. It didn't sound like he was joking. Even if he was, I felt that it crossed a line. I didn't know how I was going to tell my partner, but I knew that I wasn't going to allow my cousin in the same room as her anymore. After driving for 90 minutes to get home, I had enough time to think about it. I called my cousin and told him he's no longer invited to the wedding. The next day, I got spammed with calls, texts, and voice messages from my parents, uncle, and sister telling me that I'm overreacting over a joke and causing division in the family. So I told them all that they're also uninvited. My parents are not contributing to the cost of the wedding. They gave us 1,000 euros for an engagement gift, but after being uninvited, they demanded it back. Even though I feel like you shouldn't be allowed to take back a gift, I gave it back to avoid drama and to tell them that we don't need their money. I don't think I'm overreacting because it's not fair to my partner to have people there on her big day who think that way about her. Even though my family makes up half of our total guests, I don't want anybody there who feels that way. I'm okay with having none of them there. Am I overreacting? Am I the a-hole? Edit. I didn't expect this to get so much feedback. Thank you for your comments. I'll try to read them all, but I mostly came for the judgments because I can't read English well. Edit 2. It looks like there is some confusion. I didn't uninvite the rest of the family just because he told the joke. I did it because they were defending the joke and saying he shouldn't lose his invite because of it. Not the a-hole. The comments your cousin and family make about her are very disrespectful. You're not overreacting at all, and if they can't see or understand that what they're saying is not okay, then they don't need to be there. If things were the other way around, I'm sure they would be upset if things like this were said to them. It may not mean much to you, but I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself and your future wife this way. Anyone who thinks this is some joke does not have a real place in your life, and apparently this is not even a one-time thing, just a horrifyingly egregious example. Some soul-searching and heartfelt apologies are in order on their side. Not the a-hole, but one thing I would suggest is that when family contacts you and are upset about the wedding, be 100% sure that they are upset for the reason you believe. If they're upset because you did not think it was funny your cousin joked about your wife being a hoe, then cut them out. If they're mad because your cousin spun some elaborate tale about how you freaked out on them for no reason, or he lied to them about what the joke was, then reconsider. I don't want you disinviting your grandparents, for example, because you believe they're supporting your cousin's insensitivity, when in truth, they believe his lies when he told them you went off about nothing. Not the a-hole. They, 1, disrespecting your wife, 2, made a joke about sex trafficking. Like, that's enough reasons to begin with. Mail order brides are a thing and can be done legally. Yes, I'd prefer calling them arranged to a point because I don't know a proper term for it. But even if you did go the route like that and happen to meet a woman and her family did an arranged marriage, it does not mean he has any right to make those kinds of jokes. Like, seriously. There's levels and lines of humor people should not cross. They crossed it. The money ain't worth the drama, and they're defending him ain't worth it either. It wasn't a funny or tasteful joke. It was designed to be a shock reaction joke and possibly intended to be hurtful. Don't cave and re-invite any of those jerks. Protect your wife-to-be and your marriage-to-be. Next story. I, female 26, just got engaged. My soon-to-be mother-in-law is a nightmare. We're currently renovating a part of our place and she has been lent a key in the meantime because she keeps coming over uninvited under the guise of helping clean up, but really she just likes to snoop and interfere. I do a martial art and take my engagement ring off before class. I came home from an afternoon class one day and my engagement ring was not in the jewelry dish that I usually leave it in. I asked her about it and she told me that she'd taken it to a jeweler to get it cleaned. She looked super smug about it, and when I asked which jeweler, she pretended she couldn't remember. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of having a reaction to it, so I just let it slide for a couple of days. A couple of days pass and I ask her about it again, and she's super vague, still pretending she can't remember which jeweler and saying she's too busy to go pick it up anytime soon. So I said, wow, I really feel for that jeweler. Hope nothing happens to her. She asked what I meant, and I told her that my superstitious Brazilian grandmom had performed some traditional ritual on it that's usually known to curse anyone who takes or handles the ring other than the owner. She looked uneasy and asked me a couple more questions about this ritual, and I made up some story about how my mother's ring had been taken by a burglar who was crushed by a pillar of cement on his way out of the house. I totally made this entire ritual up, and I do have a Brazilian grandmother, but obviously she did not do some ritual to my ring. The next day, my fiancé told me while I was out, she was there to clean up a bit. Lo and behold, I get home, she had already left, and find my ring where I left it. It didn't look any cleaner than it had before, lol. A week later, I received an abusive call from her saying she'd been in a minor car accident and she was blaming me and my witch doctor grandmother, saying she was now cursed for having touched it. I passed the phone to my fiancé who tried to calm her down, but she was hysterical. I told my fiancé what I had told her, and he scolded me a bit because we both know how she is, and I should have known she'd react this sort of way. It's been a further week since then, and she refuses to talk to me and keeps slandering me to my fiancé. Overall, he sort of recognizes how ridiculous she's being, but the drama of the situation is making me wonder if the whole curse tale was taking it a bit too far. So, am I the a-hole? Update. I really did not expect this sort of a response to this post. Thank you all so much for the awards. Fiancé and I have had a big chat, and he's admitted he has to step up when it comes to his mother. He retrieved her key an hour ago and he told her not to worry about the curse because it would have no effect on anyone who touched it without malicious intent. Big thank you to the commenters who suggested that absolutely gold approach. Not the a-hole. That's hilarious. The nerve of her taking your ring. She deserves the curse. I'm just sorry it's causing trouble for you. I kind of think your fiancé earned it by tolerating her behavior and not having changed the locks already. Also, have you checked your ring? I don't understand why she'd take it unless it was to keep it away from you. Does she disapprove of the engagement or of you taking it off even if it's for good reason? Was she going to swap stones or claim to have lost it? I'd really need to know her motivation for taking it. You might want to come clean before she meets your grandmother at the wedding though. Not the a-hole. You should tell her there's no way she could have been even cursed since she took the ring with good intentions and the curse only curses people with bad intentions. The reason you were worried about the jeweler is because some jewelers will steal rings and swap them out for fake stones. And you didn't know how honest the jeweler was because you didn't know them at all. I'll bet she chokes on her own lies rather than admit she stole it to steal it. Not the a-hole. This made me laugh, but at the end of the day, you wouldn't need to make something like that up if she didn't steal from you. It's low-key karma, so I guess she'll probably not interfere for a while. Also, your fiancé actually needs to stand up for you though, cause it leaves a bad taste that he's not. I know it can cause unnecessary drama, but the entire situation wouldn't even need to have happened if he set boundaries with her. Next story. My mom married my stepdad when I-20 female was 7 and my stepsister was 6. You might think after all these years we would be good, but nope. She was such a freaking nightmare to deal with, and it only got worse after her dad took custody of her from her mom when she was 13. It wasn't just me either. She smashed up the collection of photos my mom had of my uncle, her brother who died when they were kids, and she made sure those photos could not be salvaged. She broke something valuable that her grandma, my stepdad's mom, owned. As for me, she would spit in my pillow so I couldn't sleep on it. She would tell me to give her stuff, so when I got a phone she demanded I give it to her. If I was eating a chocolate bar, she demanded it. Her dad at one point had her in therapy 3 times a week, and he would punish the hell out of her for stuff like spitting and breaking things. One time when we were 15 and 16, we both got into trouble because she tore the photo I had in my bedroom of my dad and grandparents, and she smuggled food stains all over the fragments left, and I lost it. I told her she freaking sucked, and I was so glad she was not my real sister because I would never want to be family with someone as unlovable as her. That I never disliked anyone as much, and my life was so much better without her in it. After that, things were very different. My mom said she understood that I was upset, but I should never say such cruel things to someone. She encouraged me to apologize and say I hadn't meant those things, but I had. My stepdad and I had gotten along okay up to that point, but me saying his daughter was unlovable and that I wished she had never been in my life was a step too much for him, which I get. We pretty much coexisted after that, had therapy and all. But I think my mom was the only one truly all in at first, and then my stepdad eventually. But my stepsister and I were not interested in repairing things. For me, they were just never good to begin with. Now, I live with some friends and live pretty far from my mom. My stepsister recently moved back in with them after she had a baby, and my mom has tried to convince me that this is the perfect time to put the past in the past and move forward. She has brought up my being an aunt many times before, and I know she's telling the truth that my stepsister is ready for it because she sent me a video via my mom's Facebook saying that she had forgiven me for what I said and was ready to move forward. I got pretty tired of my mom trying and calling me an aunt, so I told her I wasn't an aunt. I told her I have no siblings and so I can't be an aunt. She told me it was childish to say that when everybody else is ready to move on from all that. I told her I was not, that I had never grown to care about stepsisters and did not want to be in her life or to have her in mine, and her child was an extension of that. She's mad at me for saying that and my stubborn stance. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but everyone else's. Especially your mother and stepfather who did nothing to stop your stepsister's cruel behavior, especially after she ruined precious photos of the deceased. Why on earth did they let her get away with so much? She was punished, but it was not like she cared all that much. Her dad was always grounding her and he had her in therapy. But she just loved doing things to hurt people she and her mom didn't like, and didn't give two craps about the consequences as long as she got what she wanted. Like when she had my mom sobbing after destroying the photos of her brother. Not the a-hole. It's nice to be able to forgive and forget these things, but sometimes too much damage has been done and it's impossible to get past the hurt. You accepted that you will never have a relationship with your stepsister years ago. It's time for everyone else to do the same. If you can get to a stage of indifferent tolerance whereby you can be in the same place for the holidays, I'd say that's as much as anyone has the right to ask of you. Not the a-hole. If she wants to make amends with you so badly, tell her she can start by taking accountability for all the crappy things she's done. My guess is that she hopes you fall in love with her kids so she can use you as a free caregiver, exploit expensive gifts from you, etc. This person traumatized you and ruined a large part of your childhood. You don't have to forgive your abuser. The fact that your mom didn't protect you from your stepsister's abuse is unconscionable. I'd kick any partner to the curb if their kid was abusive to my kid. That's a freaking deal breaker. Next story. So my fiance and I are getting married in 9 months. She's been dress shopping with her girls for months now. She found the dress she loved and bought it, and was too excited to keep it a secret. She showed me pics of the bridesmaids' dresses, and I told her they were pretty. They match my groomsmen's suits really well. Anyway, she bought her dress and asked what I thought. I specifically asked her if she wants God's honest truth and wants me to critique the dress, or if she knows she loves it and just wants to show me. She said she wanted my opinion. She put the dress on and came out of the bathroom, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little disappointed. She's a beautiful woman and looks incredible in anything, of course, but the dress completely dwarfed her and didn't really fit the wedding theme she has worked so hard for. She wanted a forest, magical and whimsical type theme, flower crowns on the bridesmaids, etc. But she chose a super sparkly dress with a huge skirt, which looked nothing like the simple body-hugging sexy dresses she'd been repeatedly showing me. She picked basically a huge Disney princess dress, and I just didn't like how it looked at all. I was honest when I told her I didn't like it, and I was surprised she picked it because it just didn't seem to match her, and I thought it was too much poof and sparkle. She got really quiet and stormed back upstairs, and then stormed out of the house and went to her mom's. Texted me saying she couldn't believe I would say I didn't like it, and what a drickhead I am, and has blocked numbers. This is our first major fight, and I'm just so annoyed because I asked if she wanted a real opinion, and she said yes. Am I the a-hole for telling her I don't like the dress? Edit to add. Aha, I read my credit card statement. The dress was $9,000. Might help explain the reaction. Oh, you don't like this $9,000 dress? Great, because I can't return it. Probably went to her head. I don't know what to do but sit here and laugh. Is laughing crying a thing? Oh, original poster, you're not an a-hole, but you're an idiot. She has bought the dress. Hundreds, likely thousands have been spent on it. You can't return it. So now she has to fork out a crap ton more money to buy her second choice gown or wear something she knows you don't like. No matter what, she will now feel crappy about her clothes on your wedding day. What possible good could come of telling her you don't like the dress she already bought? Advice: tell her that with some minor alterations you would love it. That it was just that it didn't fit quite right, or that some of the sparkles were wrong. Pick something she can fix, then maybe you can save her feelings. You're the a-hole. Do you have a history of brutal honesty with her when she asks your opinions? It sounds like she was unprepared for the possibility of negative feedback. If you're usually more tactful than that, then this was definitely not the moment to stop. She was obviously really excited and wanted to share her excitement with you, and you burst her bubble. The dress was probably really expensive as well, so getting it was a big commitment on her part. Now, whenever she looks at it, she's going to be thinking about how you hate it. And if she does end up wearing the thing on your wedding day, because let's face it, at this point, the only option is to get another dress, she'll probably be feeling really self-conscious about it. She'll be processing a lot of feelings right now, which is why she's not talking to you. Let her do her processing and get working on the mother of all apologies, because frankly, you're going to need to do some serious digging to have any hope of salvaging this situation. Damn, this really sucks. I feel like a huge trick right now. I'm definitely not a brutally honest type person. I really wasn't trying to be brutally honest. I was just really being genuinely honest. I wasn't mean or anything, or insult the dress or call it ugly or anything. I just told her why I didn't like it too much, which I now see I shouldn't have done. You're the a-hole, but more of an idiot than an a-hole. When someone shows you something they adore, that they've spent a lot of time and money to get, and that makes them feel special, the polite thing to do is not to crap on it. You could have voiced your criticisms in a more helpful way. Do you think the big skirt will get in the way? Or, it's not what I thought you'd pick, but you look amazing in it. Or, it's so different from what you'd been looking at before. We need to practice dancing with that skirt. Also, remember, you're seeing it before it's been tailored. Dresses look a lot different after they've been altered to fit the brides properly.